Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome again to Political Platform, a program that runs simultaneously on Repa Radio and Africa Independent Television, AIT. My name is Amechi Anakwe. Now, for nearly 3 decades, yes, going towards 3 decades, the political relationship between two gentlemen, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and the man that deputized for him for 8 years, his former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, has remained one of the most dramatic rivalries in Nigeria's democratic history. Dramatic in the sense that sometimes they appear to make up and sometimes appear to be no love lost between them. Once political allies who jointly led the country between 1999 and 2007 as president and vice president, their partnership collapsed amid disagreements over power and the controversial third-term debate, setting the stage for years of bitter exchanges, political realignments, and even courtroom battles. Now, with the 2027 presidential election drawing closer, that long-standing feud, that conflict that has been known for nearly 3 decades has once again taken center stage. Fresh allegations and counter-allegations have dominated the political space based on the statements coming from these two statesmen, with Chief Obasanjo questioning Atiku's suitability for the nation's highest office, while the former vice president insists Obasanjo's renewed attacks are politically motivated, aimed at shaping the outcome of the 2027 presidential election. To examine the history, not just the history, the politics and the implications of this renewed face-off between two of Nigeria's most influential political figures, we will be joined by our guest today, Rima Shawulu, a politician, a former member of the House of Representatives, who will join us to offer perspectives for you to understand the history, the implications and the trajectory of this political feud and how it will shape the next presidential election. But before then, we will give you an update on the report that the federal government has given the Presidential Working Group 7 weeks to produce a draft national policing bill that will provide the legal framework for implementing state police in Nigeria. The 7-week timeline refers to the deadline given to the Presidential Working Group on the national policing bill to produce a completed draft of the national policing bill for submission to the federal government and onward transmission to the National Assembly for passage into law. We will offer perspectives on that. But before that, let me introduce my colleagues. Uju Ejeye is joined by Mustafa Mohammed. Welcome to the program.
Welcome our viewers and our listeners.
Good morning.
I will set the ball rolling with excerpts from the activities of that presidential committee at the State House Abuja on Monday, talking about the committee that will provide the legal framework for implementing state police in Nigeria.
This bill has to do with different consequential amendments to other parts of the Constitution that we may not even realize. For example, the firearms bill, which only allows and recognizes a unitary policing system, now has to be, and so many other bills, areas of separation. Where do the powers of the federal police stop? Where do the powers of the state police start?
The approved work program is a 7-week milestone-driven exercise running from the 27th of July to 14th of September 2026. Administrative and technical preparations have been underway, and today's meeting formally mobilizes the next stage. The resulting executive bill package is scheduled for presentation to the President on the 3rd of September. Subject to his approval, a national consultation on the completed draft will follow. But I think that we have tweaked that so the national consultation will come before the President's final approval. After which the text and supporting materials will be revised and prepared for formal transmission to the National Assembly.
So the National Police Bill is different from the bill to amend the Constitution for the establishment of state police. That bill for a state police has been passed by both chambers of the National Assembly and is on its way to the state assemblies, where if 2/3 of them are sent and passed, it will be sent to the president for his assent to amend the constitution to enable states of the federation establish and operate state police. But that is not enough. When you amend the constitution, there are other sections of the constitution that may have to be tweaked. You saw the governor of Ogun State offer some explanations, like the Firearms Act that prescribes that it's only the police and federally controlled security agencies that can operate certain category of firearms, including AK-47, assault rifle, and all that. There is also the need to provide the enabling environment to provide the details for states to operate this state police. And so the National Police Bill is up, a bill that is encompassing, that will suggest amendment of the Constitution and come up with new laws to be enacted by the National Assembly to make sure that this state police creation, the bid to create state police, works out in good time.
I was at the press briefing at the Presidential Gallery yesterday. The Attorney General of the Federation also spoke, not just the Chief of Staff, Honorable Bajabia Mila and the Governor Abiodun. Then their technical committee also came in for the press briefing. I think they all spoke to assure Nigerians that all the concerns people were making about having a state police will be addressed. Some of these concerns include the lack of trust, especially of the politicians. Some of them are state governors who may likely use the state police as a tool of operation against their opponents that will include arbitrary arrest. And for a very long time, you know, in parts of Nigeria, it was sitting governors that were forming armed talks, political talks. You are talking about places like Kano, Ndaba, in Bauchi, Sarasuka, Gombe, and Kalare. A former governor in Borno formed the ECOMOG. In fact, they had their firearms inside their overall, even in the presence of the police and officers of the Department of State. As he was traveling, they were also traveling with their firearms. These are political talks. Okay, these are some of the things that made the citizens to fear that if a sitting governor with the federal security agents who also had their firearms could recruit all these political talks with machetes and firearms. What if you legalize and give them an apparatus like state police that will be under their beck and call? They can use that to do anything. But you see, the committee members gave assurance that these new laws will take care of issues of arbitrary intimidation, arrest, and what have you, using the state police. And of course, these are some of the concerns Nigerians have. And of course, our colleagues were asking questions, including if there are states that would not be able to form the state police or even fund them. You know, funding has been a very serious problem even for the federal police when you look at not having enough logistics like vehicles, firearms, communication gadgets, welfare. You send them on election without adequate welfare.
Funding of the police, federally controlled police, has been a shared responsibility between the federal government and states.
Not officially.
Unofficial.
Not official, because any money the state governor is given or vehicles as a contribution or logistic, he does that out of his own volition.
It is said that there is no police commissioner, state police commissioner in Nigeria that can operate without support from the state government.
Yes, because the budget made, which is funded from the federal, does not trickle down to the states adequately.
And
of
even
course,
the budgetary provisions are grossly inadequate in the first place.
yes, and even when the governors give money, the money doesn't trickle down to the police stations for their operations. That's why when you have a case, they will start asking you, bring 5,000 for a want to open file. I want to go and make an arrest. You are the one who brought the case. We don't have fuel in our vehicles. So this and many more. So I think the state government need to sit up. If the federal police is having this kind of logistic, financial, and welfare challenges, like sending them on election without the necessary allowances and logistics, then the state police, think of the state police, without adequate logistics and welfare, their operations will. In fact, before it starts, the state governors need to build barracks, give them adequate training, buy the uniforms and kits, buy the logistics like equipment for communications, vehicles, and come up with adequate salaries.
Yes, let's bring in Uju here.
Well, I think that we have rightly established the fact that most of the states are helped. The federal police is helped by the governors who provide virtually everything that they need to operate effectively to ensure the security of lives and property in those states. And if they can, that means they can adequately fund the state police because they've been doing it, although unofficially. I believe that they are getting more from the federal allocation. This is one area that they need to channel some of that money, to ensure the security of lives and property, because without security, you cannot progress. Economically, you cannot progress. Developmentally, you are nowhere. I mean, look at what is happening. Most of the things that you could do, most of the industries that could be established are not being established because of fear of insurgents, fear of terrorists, bandits. Farmers cannot go to farm. The kind of mechanized farming that we should have in this country that should boost our revenue is non-existent because of the same fear. A whole lot of things are on hold because of the operations of bandits, because you don't know by the time you move from here, even to get to Lokoja might be a big deal. Somebody may be hijacked along the way. So the insecurity is hindering a whole lot of things. I believe that this is one area that the governors should channel that extra allocation that they are getting from the Federation account every month and help the citizens to have a better life and development to actually take roots and grow. And then secondly, we talked about other groups that have been formed by governors, illegal, so-called illegal groups. He talked about Ndaba in Kano, the one in Bauchi, and all the other. You see, this is also a big problem. I hope that their arms will be mopped up, because if the small arms, or whether they are using big arms, AK-47, are not mopped up, then even the state police coming into being, may not bring the needed relief. I think that's one area they should be looking into, mopping up the small arms, that are everywhere. And then governors would really have no excuse to say, look, we need to use these people for our own protection or for their own nefarious activities. That way, the real police would take over. So these are very, very important areas that we need to look into. And then, I wanted to ask, I'm not trying to be mischievous, but the constitution of the committee, we talked about it about 3 weeks ago, about the chief of staff. Has it been cleared by ICPC? Has it been cleared by the House of Reps?
That will not stop the committee from working.
We're talking about moral
innocence.
Of course, still presumed innocent, but somebody who is under investigation.
He's presumed innocent.
Somebody who is under investigation.
Even somebody under trial is also presumed innocent. Let's go on a break. When we come back from the break, there are other issues we'll consider. We'll take a look at the feud, age-long, between Obasanjo and, indeed, Atiku Abubakar. Perhaps, if time permits, we also look at how the Catholic Church is reacting to presidency's reaction to statements credited to Cardinal John Onayeko. Do stay with us.
Ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political Platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Raypa Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as Political Platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political Platform, now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
In the hallowed chambers where laws are forged and a nation's destiny is decided.
This is your parliamentary program, Inside the Parliament on AIT.
Voices rise, opinions clash, debates ignite.
We cannot be apologetic in the discharge of our constitutional duties as lawmakers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The burden of proving that the elections have been conducted peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC.
From the Senate to the House of Representatives, this is where policies are tested, laws are crafted, and authority is held to account.
We spoke to some lawmakers on their opinions of the document presented by the president.
Every motion, every argument carries the hopes of millions.
We need more hospitals, more health clinics in communities so that they can effectively take care of the primary health need of our people.
The questions are tough. The exchanges are intense.
Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice.
And those who want the proviso are 55 in number. And so the proviso says,
but who truly stands for the people? Who is driving the change that defines our tomorrow?
Let us tell ourselves the truth. Why are we here talking about LGBT, GTBT, whatever?
Get the answers on Where Nigeria Decides on Inside the Parliament on AIT every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m. The issues as they break, the multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
It's a serious threat to democracy.
And our governments seem to be incapable of protecting
the scheming.
This is not a period we should say bow and go.
Every part of this country is equal.
The intrigues.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection.
I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe it was for that reason in politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time.
Thank you so much for staying with us. The Catholic Laity Council of Nigeria, that's the umbrella body of all Catholics that are not members of the clergy, those that are not ordained, in the civilians, if you take it to the security sector, have issued a statement in reaction to the presidency's statement on John Cardinal Onayeko's interview, saying they stand with him, reminding the presidency that the bishops have that biblical mandate to speak truth to power, and that's what they have done, and that is what they will continue to do. So the Catholic Church standing strongly behind John Cardinal Onayeko. It appears that this may not be the end of this spat.
You see, they have rights of reply. maybe replying it in this manner will also make the aides of the president who issued the last statement in reaction will have a rethink on which language and how they reply such clergy. That also reminded me of those imams of the Izala group who are reciting a particular prayer, Al-Kunutu, when Jonathan was in his last tenure, after every prayers, invoking, God Almighty on several issues against the president, against the government. And of course, that group has not formally engaged the government. And when Muhammadu Buhari came in as president, the economy deteriorated more. We had more deteriorating security problems, and they were not talking to the government, and they might have even forgotten the prayers of Al-Kunutu during prayers. They no longer did Al-Kunutu up to
meaning what was the
Al-Kunutu is a special prayer you invoke during emergencies. Keep invoking God Almighty, Allah, for a particular intervention, whether economic, political, personal. This is by the side. For me, the clergies, whether it's this government or another government, should not continue to keep quiet. They have rights to whatever thing they hold as opinion to continue to talking to the government. The Muslim scholars think should do. The government need to look at them as people who are speaking on behalf of the people and trying to get the government to do things in a right manner. But the communication from both sides should be very diplomatic, should be very, very, very civil, so that that will lead to the achievements of the various aims on both sides. Every government that will come is always having number one on its agenda the betterment of the country's citizens, whether politically, economically, security, infrastructure, and what have you. And of course, the government and its officials, despite the beautiful things they enjoy in the office, are also part of the citizens, because their family travel around, they go to schools and hospitals, they go to the open market. The same thing with the Catholic. The Catholic priests may not have wife and children, but they have family members. They didn't fall from the heaven. So their family members, friends and relations, and the churchgoers who are under them also go to the market, schools and hospitals. So when things become very difficult, everybody would feel it in nerves.
I believe that the presidency is just raising the kind of dust that they shouldn't at this point in time. They should have looked at the merits of the visit of the bishops, looked at the critical issues raised by these bishops and attend to those issues instead of picking up a fight. This is one very sensitive fight that they do not need at this time. The Catholic Church is not just any church, and we know whether you're Pentecostal, whether you're spiritual, I'm talking about the spiritual churches like Aladura, Sele, or whatever, we know that the Catholic priests, the Catholic bishops or cardinals do not open their mouths anyhow. The Catholic Church is a highly regulated and controlled church, and these priests are trained in a way that they know how to comport themselves at any point in time. Yes, you may have one or two bad eggs along the line, but the larger 99% behave themselves. And we have established it yesterday that these are the people that have direct contact with the ordinary Nigerians, particularly the poor ones, because when they have any problems, the first people they go to are the priests, the pastors, this same group of people. So they know firsthand the pains of the people, particularly the Catholic priests who are not even encumbered by family issues. Talking about direct family, except extended family. So they have time for these people. They meet with them. They know their pains. They know what they are going through. And they are in the best position to tell the government what the people really need, what the people are aspiring to. And I think that the government should take it in good faith. Picking up a fight, particularly with them, they might see themselves up against millions of Nigerians. millions, and I know what I am talking about. The government does not need that at this point in time. They should just let truth be. Cardinal Onayekon is a man who has often spoken truth to power, not only with the Tinubu administration, whether the Buhari administration, particularly when he was Bishop of Abuja Diocese during Jonathan's time. He had always spoken truth to power. So why is he being misread at this point in time?
Well, the issue is that in an election period, you make friends rather than enemies, and you manage relationships. Now, this spat between the presidency and the Catholic Church may not have come at a good time for the APC-led federal government, and it behoves on those managing public communications to understand this fact that indeed there are better ways to manage differences, different opinions, different ideas, especially in the election year, rather than the simple knee-jerk approach of go after the messenger while you also tackle the message. There are those that have held sensitive public office of spokesperson, media advisors, and they never had a history of using unprintable names against individuals, critics that did not agree with the government. So time for soul searching for those in these places to know how to do their work better. Let's go on a break. Now, this break will show you the latest statement from former President Olusegun Obasanjo, describing his deputy then, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, as the worst mistake he has made in his career. When we come back to analyze the outcome, our colleague, Sholaja Simi, will also join us. To stay with us.
I want to know, what was that single mistake that you made as a president?
The man I pick as my running mate, my number 2.
Jay,
if I had known him as I came to know him later, I would not have picked him.
You're talking about Atiku, your VP?
My vice president. I don't know what name you want to give him, but my vice president.
So at some point, they had cordial relationship during the 2019 presidential election. Obasanjo backed Atiku Abubakar. But what went wrong that he has gone back to the feud? Sholaja Simi, let's start with you. Welcome to the program.
Okay, thank you so much. So let me just give my, this issue is coming to the fore again, and President Obasanjo will be 90 next year. 90. I'm repeating it again. Grand old age. As an elder, as a grandfather, and I'm sure he should be a great grandfather by now. There are some things you just let go. You let them go. Yoruba people say you act like an omoluabi. Papa is an elder. Papa is a chief in the, not just Egba Kingdom, but of course in Yoruba land. So for Baba to go below the belt again, it's interesting in my view. I'm thinking, because we younger people in the culture, you don't lampoon an elder. That's Yoruba culture. You can politely counsel an elder. When you're doing it, you prostrate and you give your counsel. I may not be physically prostrating now before Baba Obasanjo, but I'll be pleading that some of these comments, he has a right to have said what he said, in that interview with, the creative man, Uncle Charlie Boy. But I think Baba should just pull the brakes now. Should pull the brakes. If you said that you have made up with someone about how many years ago?
Say he has forgiven him.
Yes.
At that point.
Yes. So why is he now throwing that kind of question?
Could it be that something's changed, things went wrong, and he has withdrawn the forgiveness?
And that's why I'm saying that, as an elder, there are times that kind of question, I'll just parry it. Because it has hit up the polity. He has a right to his own views. That's the truth. I can't take that from Baba Obasanjo. But, if he says I made a mistake, you said it way back before when you people fell out in 2003. in 2006, and Amechi, like I'm saying again, you were at the villa when President Obasanjo walked Atiku.
Are these not contained in the books he has written?
Yeah, so it goes to show that Baba is fanning something. And that's why the Atiku camp is pointing that, look, at this age, sir, you want to do a Milokon or Awalokon. That means you're king's man. That's what the Atiku camp is saying. He's on the throne. You, or rather, in the office, you fell out with him. You held local government funds for Lagos all through Tinubu's term, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Now he's there. You are seemingly, because these are allegations from Atiku's camp, you are now, you know, bending towards a man you fought. Because the fight between
He's bending towards who?
Towards Tinubu. That's what they are.
That's what they said, but it's clear that Obasanjo does not support Tinubu. He has been very, very critical of him and has been supportive of P2B. So I'm trying to see how this connects.
Yeah, so of course it's politics. So that's why I mentioned that the Atiku camp is pointing in that direction. That's their own view. And you have brought it to the fore now, reminding us that, but look at where President Obasanjo is really looking at. He supported Peter Obi in 2003, and that he's saying this is the man you all need to support at this time. So Baba Obasanjo should just tamper.
Okay.
I think that, like you rightly said, he has a right to say what he wants to say at any point in time. That's his freedom. That's his right. Yes, well, maybe we could appeal to him to shift the sword, but I said last week that there is more to this thing that we're seeing openly, you know, than meets the eye. There is more, because I recall that when Atiku went to him in 2023, he said he had forgiven. And then one would expect that this kind of spat would not arise at this. 2019, yes, thank you. You know, he said he had forgiven, and this kind of spat should not arise again. But it is coming up. It could be that maybe there are certain things that Baba expected Atiku to have done, maybe not to contest at age 80, but to give the younger ones a chance, which he is not seeing. Because you notice that Baba Obasanjo, during his administration, actually gave opportunity to a lot of younger ones. He gave opportunity to them. Maybe he's thinking, oh, this man, go and rest now, let these younger ones, and then maybe he believes in Peter Obi and some other younger ones, you know.
So could it be that it was a grand strategy from Obasanjo to further demarket Atiku ahead of this election?
I do not see it as a strategy, but a man voicing out his feelings at this point in time. You could voice out your feelings without it being a strategy. It's like, kilo day, you know, that kind of a thing. But I think that Baba should just let Atiku be. Let him go. Let Nigerians decide whether they want him or not. Let the ballot speak. Baba, whatever it is that is still annoying you about your former vice president, let it rest. You are forgiven. Even if you can't forget, don't voice it.
That's what I'm saying. If Obasanjo is not a member of any political party,
exactly,
he tore the card of PDP, the last party he joined, as he said, has not joined any other party, but he's still very active in politics. Now,
of course, he's a father.
Trying to link it to what Bola Tinubu said, the president told the Catholic bishops, all is fair in politics. Now, and I ask, what Obasanjo did, is it a move to demarket Atiku Abubakar by describing him as someone that his principal never trusted?
It goes beyond that to Nigerian citizens, politicians, including journalists. People tend to forget two fundamental issues, or three. Number one, Obasanjo did not pick Atiku Abubakar from the gutters or from the streets, like the northern politicians told Obasanjo, remove him from prison and made him contest. Number two, Atiku Abubakar was not just an elected governor who would have told Obasanjo that he didn't want to be his running mate. He was contented with being his governor-elect and later governor of Adamawa. Atiku Abubakar was the head of Yaradua political group, which is the biggest and the most viable political group in northern Nigeria, the PDM Nigeria, in the north. And he brought this...
No, PDM in Nigeria.
In northern Nigeria, talking about northern Nigeria.
No, the PDM was across Nigeria.
Yeah, so it was all over the nation.
Yes. The PDM was all over Nigeria, and then Atiku Abubakar brought the PDM to bear its influence on the PDP. They brought massive votes for Obasanjo and him to win the election. Now, whenever Obasanjo begins to speak or spoke about Atiku Abubakar, he tried to say that as if Abubakar was brought in from the political gutter, rehabilitated from the situation to become his running mate.
In other words, sorry, it was Atiku that was saying, I clothed you, I fed you when you left prison, and you had nothing.
Exactly. Atiku did a lot. So what I'm saying is that Atiku Abubakar does not deserve all these disparaging from the former president. What I'm expecting is that Olusegun Obasanjo, former head of military government, former president of Nigeria at this age of 90, like Shola Jaisimi, very diplomatically said he needs to respect himself, continue to be an elder statesman. Those wonderful things he did by handing over to Shagari.
I think when you use the word respect himself, you may not be correct there. It is not a matter of respecting himself.
There are things you don't talk.
Now, what's the criteria for being an elder statesman? We have former presidents. We have, for instance, Ibrahim Babangida that will not join issues publicly, that will choose to use other means. But you have an Obasanjo that will join issues, and Atiku Abubakar is not the only one. Now, what is the right approach an elder statesman should follow? Is it to come to the open or use other means?
Diplomacy is the best. There's this in Sun Tzu, a Chinese general over 2,000 years ago, said the smartest general wins a war without shooting, firing without firing a single bullet. When you become an elder statesman, you respect yourself, you ignore so many things. If you have to communicate, use diplomacy. Because when you get to a particular level, those who are far under you can reply you in a manner that will be insulting to you.
And he has been getting the reply.
Some people have been commending him too. Some people have been commending him. It's a two-way thing. Some people have been commending him too. I think that whatever approach you use is the one that should be most effective at that point in time, whether you do the diplomatic stuff or you come out openly. Baba Obasanjo has been known to come out openly, not only to this government, even during Buhari's time. Some people call him out, some people commend him, but I think that those who are aloof, those who are sitting on the fence without intervening, whether verbally or otherwise, why we are facing what we're facing in the country right now, are the ones who are the guilty party, not an Obasanjo who is speaking out. And it doesn't make him an Agbaya. That is Baba's way of it. Every father in different households knows how he holds his household together. This is his own way. We should give him that respect. But what we are saying is, Baba, sheath the sword. Don't make it personal. Let it be national, not personal.
If Obasanjo is playing politics, you don't expect him to be silent. If he's an active politician, and he is. Now, if every citizen reserves the right to join issues publicly, that's a constitutionally guaranteed right. Now, it's now left to personal discretion as to how you do it. Now, you have advised the former president, but you know he will not heed to that advice. That's an Obasanjo for you, and it has not started and may not likely end with Atiku. He's the type that speaks up. Asserting his rights.
As a hunter, if you are walking in the bush and you met dry leaves under a tree, you have options of bypassing the dry leaves or marching on them. Once you march dry leaves, you know they will make noise. And then once they make noise, the animal you want to shoot or bat will hear that noise that an enemy is coming, it will run away. Atiku Abubakar at his age is not a small boy. And Atiku Abubakar is not a wish away He still has his followers all over the country. Muhammadu Buhari, former president, how many times has he contested before he won the election? So all we are saying is that as you are reaching a particular level as an elder statesman, try to be diplomatic.
Okay, now let's look at it this way, because a lot of people have said the presidency's response to Cardinal Nayekon's interview would have been would not have even emanated if he had played glowing tributes and commended the administration or scored them high marks. It would have ended there. Nobody would have joined issues to say, oh, you shouldn't have spoken. Why is it that when some people speak critically, then that issue, don't speak, should come off? If Obasanjo had described Atiku in glowing terms, can we also tell him to keep quiet? Because he described him as a good citizen and a potential candidate. Should we be fair to him or to anybody that will speak up, expressing opinion, guaranteed by the Constitution, by asking the person, keep quiet? You're too old or too young
to talk.
The thing about it is that in these climes, we like praise. We covet praise. We love it when someone tells us, you're doing well. Meanwhile, things are falling apart. That's the irony of our psyche in this country. It cuts across various, people and all of that. So if Obasanjo comes and tells Atiku that you did so and so and so, I shouldn't have, I made a mistake and all of that, he's entitled to his opinion.
Was he insultive? Did they insult his personality?
His demeanor was quite calm, very calm. If you watch the interview, he's just like saying now, maybe, in the next couple of weeks or months, I'm not throwing prophecy, but they say, Dr. Anakwe, you'll be the MD of Dark Communications. Then you select some people. Then later you sit in your office and say, I appointed so-and-so as a GM or director of this. I made a mistake. You're honest appraiser of what you think. Maybe you thought this person will either has integrity or is very competent, he is a fastidious. But those qualities and characters you assumed were not manifest, and you express your reservations or to a higher level, maybe a board. So he's entitled. But because of the scenario where we are now, age comes with a lot of maturity. But one thing I like President Obasanjo for, he says it as he feels it. And this is not today he started. He started this right from way back. When he left the office as military head of state.
In 1979.
Yes, 79. He pulled back a little. But by the early 1990s, you saw him started talking about Nigeria again.
I even heard he was critical of the Shagari administration.
Yes, critical. Then, he pulled back a little again. So if he has this character of trying to get those who have stayed in that office after him on their toes, I think it's kudos. Very huge kudos. But the aspect is this, which I also want us to look at with regards to this issue. The former president will need to do well to weigh these things. He weighs them very, very.
So you want him to retire from politics?
No. This is a man who reminds us at every opportunity available to him. Say, look at me, young man. How old was I? 29, 30. I fought a civil war to keep this country one. Then you people, referring to those who have come after him, will come and scatter it, that I will not agree until I take my last breath. So he's following through on what he has said. Let's give that to him. But the remarks and, personal attacks, he may need to soft pedal on it.
Are they personal, the attacks?
It depends on
what. Are they speaking on issues?
No, the thing is this. With regards to Atiku's scenario, Obasanjo, in my honest view, I'm trying to track now, looking at the books I've read, whether he pointedly accused that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar of anything that we can say, in fact, maybe Atiku should be in jail. Are there things? Is it personal beef with regards to Atiku's ambition to succeed him? Was it Atiku's, joining forces with pro-democracy forces to twat Obasanjo's touted third term? Those are the issues. So if you have something that you want to go for, and I go back again, look at maybe if I have an ambition now to be MD of Dark Communications, and someone puts sand in my gari, except I have a large heart, I may not forgive the person. So the encouragement is let us have large hearts so that we can forgive.
Shola, you didn't quite answer the question that Amechi asked. He said if he had spoken glowingly of Atiku, would you and Mustafa be asking him to shut up?
The question here is that, like he said, and which I agreed, when you get to a particular level, the statement that is expected to come from you should be the positive ones. If you have disagreement,
you don't want having of bad news.
You don't have to come out and, as an old man, if you see an old man removing his shirt and then fighting in the marketplace, you start thinking about his age. What do you expect from an old man of that age that will remove his shirt? You know, in Lagos, it's very common.
No, it's not common in Lagos.
Let me give you an example. You are a Yoruba man. So you remove shirt, keep it here. Remove shoe, remove trouser. Keep shouting without boxing.
No ethnic profiling, please.
No, it's not an ethnic profile. I said Lagos. I didn't talk about any tribe.
There are tribes in Lagos, different tribes.
Now, going back to the issue of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, when you get to a particular age, a lot of diplomacy and positiveness are expected by the citizens to whom you should be a role model. Most times, if there are negative things, there are channels that you try to use in communicating and mold a lot of characters. Shola Jaisimi raised the issue of the third term. We all know what was the agenda. Yes. I was a reporter at the National Assembly. We all know what went on.
And that's what Atiku have said. You're yet to come over my role in truncating the third-term agenda.
The Hausa people have this adage, Mbabu Rami me ekao suna Rami. If there is no, sorry, it's Kanuri actually, Bulaba Aisu Bulai Sutu. A blind man was still walking, and you are telling him, look, there's a hole there, there's a ditch here. And then suddenly you say, no, there's no ditch, go. The blind man will think, if there's no ditch there, what makes you mention the name of the ditch?
Okay.
So finally, what I'm trying to say is that Olusegun Obasanjo at this age, as an elder statesman, should use more of diplomacy. If he has any beef or remaining anger with
Atiku,
he does not hide it.
Atiku has visited him a couple of times. Should use this personal communication to address the issue, because he did not take Atiku from the gutters.
Atiku used that point.
Atiku used the political bloc to help him. He has also said that, and was an elected governor.
Maybe he thinks that he needs to warn Nigerians about Atiku, and this is his own way of doing it. Just like some persons are also praising Atiku.
From what some of you are saying is that if it's negative, someone should not say it. I disagree. You express your opinion as long as you're not being insultive.
Exactly.
If you're joining issues on matters of integrity, matters of policy, matters of this and that, you reserve the right to do so. If Atiku Abubakar feels so strongly that Obasanjo did the wrong thing, there are laws of libel. You join issues with him, you speak to your lawyer. But when it involves state matters, every citizen, old or young, should join issues. Atiku has the right of response, and he has responded. And nothing stops him from going on the offensive. Nothing stops him from raising issues that border on the integrity of Obasanjo. Some people have also done it in the past, raising personal issues against him. So in my place, they say, there's this saying, a mouth cannot visit another mouth and go empty-handed. It's tit for tat. As long as it will enrich public discourse, as long as it will help us to go into what transpired while they were in office. Because we have to learn things that happened in the past to guide us in the future. It will be a good example for Tinubu and Shetima, for P2B and Kwankwaso, for Atiku Abubakar and even Rotimi Amechi. This is how it went in the past. Maybe we'll have to draw lessons from it and move forward. Last word from Shola quickly.
Lest we forget, even Baba's son, accused Baba of certain things.
Absolutely.
Baba's daughters, openly.
Yes.
Yabo.
It's not Yabo. What you may want to share.
They are still best friends.
Very grave issues public and all that. But
so as we go, as we are talking about these politicians, one of them's granddaughter, grandson will do marriage. All of them will be there together.
Absolutely.
They will drink champagne together.
Yes. So let's hear from you as we read some of the emails you have sent to us in our feedback segment. That's Citizens' Perspective.
Okay, Dixon Eka from Abuja says, I commend the Catholic Laity Council for standing firm with one of the most outspoken clerics in Nigeria, Cardinal John Onayekon. Since I knew this cardinal, he's been boldly speaking truth to power, and that was what he did. President Tinubu, who called himself a stubborn politician and he's always out to politicize everything, should know that everything is not politics. These bishops only spoke the minds of the millions of Nigerians who could not reach the president. But President Tinubu, in his characteristic way of being a stubborn politician, lost an opportunity of hearing from the people, turning himself to INEC spokesperson. Laji Agbas, Ada from Ada local government that should be in Kogi State, says, yesterday on this program, a guest confidently proclaimed that missionaries were the primary reason Nigeria's governmental system flourished. It is a compelling argument, but it is historically incomplete. Long before the missionaries set foot in Badagry in the 1840s, Othman Dan Fodio had already launched the Sokoto Jihad in 1804. This movement was not merely religious, it was a political and administrative revolution. The Sokoto Caliphate established a well-structured system of governance through emirates, rooted in Islamic law, clearly defined authority, and a centralized framework. When the British colonial authorities arrived, they did not create governance in northern Nigeria from the scratch. Rather, they simply adapted Danfodio's existing emirate system to implement indirect rule. The emirate model was hierarchical, organized and ready-made for colonial administration. This explains why indirect rule thrived in the north.
Quick correction, Kanem Borno Empire was there for over 1,000 years with all those structures. The current Chad, Niger, Cameroon, down to the other parts of northern Nigeria were under Kanem Borno, a few places, down to Eritrea and Tunisia were under Kanem. And proudly, some of us are from this.
Okay, we have to quickly give you these two comments, short ones from our YouTube channel. No honors, 1915. Obasanjo is not a saint, so he should just let go. The last one, Ike Chukwibe says, OBJ forgiving Atiku does not mean he shouldn't say the worst mistake he made in his life. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll come back tomorrow for another edition. Our apologies, our guests couldn't make it. We'll make up for tomorrow. On behalf of my colleagues, my name is Amechi, and we'll have a good time.